Yeah.
Welcome everyone to the Guam Southern Guam Conservation District and the Natural Resource Conservation Service. We are really happy to bring you guys all together. The local working group brings together local stakeholders to identify and address natural resource concerns on Guam. Supported by USDA, NRCS, and advises on conservation priorities and helps guide sustainable land and district management based on local input. And that's why everyone is here today. So please welcome our chairmen, Chairman Mike and Chairman Joe, and they'll give us our opening remarks.
Everyone, first, thank everyone for being here today. Just spending a little time with our effort here in the local working group. Especially here, this is Soil Water Stewardship Week. It's a time dedicated to celebrating our conservation across the nation. So we're doing our little piece here on that effort. Stewardship Week reminds us that conservation is the reason for the season, and it's the perfect backdrop for us to come together, working as the local working group. Moving forward, we hope to hold these local working group sessions regularly during this time of year, keeping the spirit of stewardship, collaboration, and action front and center as we plan for Guam's conservation future. Since the last working group meeting in August of 2024, the Southern Guam Soil Conservation District has made steady progress on the priorities that we set during that last meeting. The projects we worked on were not picked at random. They were based directly on the top concerns that you all helped identify, which was soil erosion, water quality, pest pressure, protecting farmland, and better support for farmers. So we chose real shovel-ready projects that could start addressing these issues right away. And I think we're progressing very well right now this time. In addition to addressing each priority area, we also convened a partner-driven action planning session to develop 5 new initiatives, which you'll hear more about later today. Once again, thank you again, and let's have a productive meeting. Thank you.
Again, I want to echo what Mike had mentioned. Thank you for coming. This is a local working group meeting that's getting your input into providing us with what Guam's top 5 primary resource concerns would be. For this year's theme for under the national conservation is our home is where the habitat is, and so we want to make sure we take care of our home and make sure the habitat that we have is something that we can use for future generation. For the Northern District, we have several endeavors that we worked on, and so just like the South, we work on getting funding to help not only the farmers, but helping our partners in terms of what they need to do in terms of their work. I hope that you can help us provide input into it during this working session. I don't know if we have an event happening afterwards in terms of a meet and greet, and we hope that you can stay for the meet and greet. They'll help us introduce each other get to know more of each other. Again, one of the things that we have for the north side of the house is we want to make sure we address the soil health, the invasive species that are happening on Guam. And so we go out and seek those funding sources to help our partners do what they need to do. One of the projects that we have is a land restoration measures on our conservation areas, working with Department of Agriculture, Forestry, but working with also our other partners to bring us forward with that. We also got grants for, and I don't know if you guys know this, but if you are on the registry for the northern side of the house, just like the southern, they also have the same thing. We have funding to help you build fences around your farm in order for you to make sure you don't have the feral swine coming over to your area. We've partnered with APHIS in terms of getting what do you call it again, doing the eradication or management of the feral swine. Both the north and south is working on has worked on that for years, and we're continuing on that partnership. We're also working with REPI in terms of getting that to white buffalo and helping remove the feral swine in the island of Guam or the invasive species. So I hope that in the end you can provide the district with that so that we can work with the USDA and NRCS in terms of executing a lot of those primary resource concerns and helping, especially our farmers and our people of Guam move forward and become sustainable on our island of Guam. Again, thank you. Enjoy yourself. We have refreshments also throughout the day. Help yourself. Thank you again. Jen?
Thank you, Joe, and thank you for everyone for showing up. Your contribution is greatly appreciated here, and we do really truly want to hear from you. So next we'll have Jay, our district conservationist from USDA NRCS, who will be presenting more about the local working groups. Sorry, we gotta take him away. Yes. Oh, please give Jay a round of applause.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jay Dornilla, and I'm the district conservationist for the Guam Service Center. We're located in Pizza. And my presentation today will cover briefly what are the local working group and our farm bill programs that we have on here, and some special initiatives that have been applied, as well as others we would like to see being applied out here. I'll briefly cover on a little bit on rankings, application status, and our Joint Chiefs program, and where we're at with that today. Okay, so Natural Resource Conservation Service, we're a non-regulatory agency. We provide voluntary, cost-effective program and technical assistance to landowners to conserve, protect, and improve their natural resources. In doing so, we enable farmers and ranchers to better steward and manage their property and maintain economical viability. Our current office staff makeup is myself, the district conservationist, one conservation planner, and we have currently soil and water conservation staff in our office. We have 2 program admin assistants, 2 technicians, and a program manager. So having the district staff in our office has been very helpful for us in helping administer our programs to you all. So the local working group, what is it? The local working group is the foundation for our program delivery process. It supports locally led conservation efforts by coordinating our programs with other federal, state, and local conservation programs. USDA programs with other federal, state, and local conservation programs to provide an integrated solution to addressing your natural resource concerns. So the benefits of the local working group is that it encourages stakeholders like yourselves involvement in community outreach. It involves our conservation partners. It helps identify and prioritize the state resource issues and concerns that are specific to our island. And it develops and strengthens local partnering opportunities, and it serves the local people. So the farm bill programs that we have available out here in Guam is the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, or EQIP. This program helps producers address resource concerns that are happening on their farm operation or forest land. And then we also have our Conservation Stewardship Program, or CSP, which works hand in hand with EQIP. Conservation Stewardship Program looks at some of the good stewardship that producers have already been taking on themselves, or if they were previous EQIP applicants and have applied conservation practices, CSP would help enhance those conservation practices that are installed on the land. And then we also have our agriculture conservation easement programs, in which they have easement programs for farmland and wetland. And then we also have our regional conservation partnership program. This is in which we work together with an identified partner, in which we give funding to, and producers would apply through their program, which we fund. Some of the ranking pools, so we've previously gone through our first, our sign up for fiscal year 25. It's come to a close, and these are some of the ranking pools in which we had funding put into, and we would rank all the applications we received based on the type of resource concern they're addressing, and the type of land use they had their operation on. So they had our national required initiatives, which is organic farming, on-farm energy, wildlife, urban conservation initiative, contracts, which is CIC, the high tunnel systems, and farmsteads. So these are national required ranking pools, but some of them don't have the resource concerns that were specifically wanting to be addressed on the farm properties out here. So a lot of our applications didn't fall, and many of those, the only ones we've had were like the high tunnels and some farmstead and urban. And then there are state initiatives, which we have is the Joint Chiefs, and there's another one called National Water Quality Initiative, which I would like to see more about here, or I'd like to see us adopt out here. But I'll talk a little bit more about the Joint Chiefs Initiative and how we're doing so far or to date. And then we also have our ranking pool for the TCP, which is the Targeted Conservation Program. This TCP was developed based off of some of the local working group, previous local working group input that we had, and the top priority resource concerns that we would like to see. So this is a local funding pool in which we don't need to compete with other states. The national and the state, we would have to compete with Hawaii and other states. CIG is more of a program where we would work with partners to install our normal conservation practices in an innovative way. So this is usually administered by the university or other partners. And then again, we have our CSP. And so again, these are just the ranking pools that our state office has money set aside for our programs, signups, to fund the applications and obligate them so we can have conservation on the ground. So I was just gonna go over some of the ranking tools that we use. Some people wonder how when we receive applications, how do we go about ranking them? And how we prioritize them. So we have our two tools. One is the workload prioritization tool. And then also our CART, conservation assessment ranking tool. So the WPT workload prioritization tool helps us kind of answer some questions because we have returning producers that want to apply again. And we kind of go through a questionnaire. It helps us rank our applications in a low, medium, and high priority. So you can see samples there. If we had an existing contract, has the application had no, has been terminated in the last 3 years? If it's yes, it's a low priority, so that would go to the bottom of our selection. And there's also other ones where it kind of talks about if we're meeting the priority resources concerns, like one is for our 303D impaired streams list. If there's any applicants that have property where they want to install conservation practices that are within that area, and if it's yes, then it's a high priority application. So those are just some examples of questions that help us prioritize our applications when we receive them. And then in our CART ranking tool, these are the criteria that we go through to help us kind of determine the effectiveness of the plan, and if it's going to make an impact, if it's going to address the resource concerns, which we as a local working group feel is important. Okay, so for our fiscal year 25 applications that we've received for our programs, we've only been receiving applications for EQIP and CSP programs. So for our first round, we received 29 EQIP and 20 CSP. And in our second round, 17 EQIP and 13 CSP. And today is the final day for us to collect and accept the Joint Chiefs applications. So the number may go up for the second round, but this is kind of like a milestone for us because this is the most applications we've received in the past and to date. In the past, we've had low applications, low count of applications. So I'm commending the district for helping us out with that. And with our first round applications, we're currently going through our the application process, which is developing conservation plans for those areas, coming up with cost estimates and finalizing those to be obligated. So there was 19 of those that were selected for EQIP and 11 CSP. So the funds for those 9 and 11 that we were using were our local funding pool with the TCP Guam and the Joint Chiefs and EQIP Urban. And then we have our for our CSP, we were using funding through our Ag Classic and our non-industrial private forest land classic act, as well as our regular CSP IRA funding. So those funding pools were selected based on what the resource concerns each of those applications were going to be addressing on their property and what conservation practices they would select to be funded. For our Joint Chiefs progress, for our first in 20, so this was a 3-year project, joint project between NRCS and the Forest Department. We're on our 3rd year, fortunately. So our 2nd year was in fiscal year 24. We only had 3 applicant signups, and the funding total obligated was 190,000. And I think that the reason for the low turnout was we had the eligible area, the target area was just within the Inalahan area. This year we expanded that, so I'm going to kind of touch on that a little bit more. So these are just the practices to date that we had for fiscal year 24. These are ready for implementation. So this is conservation that's gonna be on the ground. And so fuel break, we had 1.6 acres planned. Tree shrub establishment, 3.1 acres. Windbreak, 60 feet. Access road, 690 feet. Mulching, 9.4 acres. Fence, 600 feet, and street crossing, which is just one unit. So these practices will help the landowner kind of address any resource concerns that are related to wildfire. So they're strategically placed on their farm area. And these are practices that the producer feels that they're able to install with our assistance, and it would make a big difference to reduce the amount of wildfire spreading into their area. So progress continued. So we did expand the target area to include Telefofo and Moleso. For our FY 25 signups, the first round we received only one application. And for our second round, this number is a little bit higher. So it looks promising because we have a lot of money for joint chiefs. We have about 800,000 to spend for our the contracts. This map here kind of just shows the expanded area. Originally, we had our joint chiefs just for this area. So it was kind of limited to applicants, but now we've expanded to the Moleso area and some of Telefofo. So that kind of helps bump up our numbers. And again, this is a joint chiefs is an EQIP initiative, and it's a joint project between us and the US Forestry, and it's to help to reduce the wildfire. And the idea was that NRCS would be funding conservation practices on private land, which would then kind of tie it together with the surrounding government land in which the local forestry was implementing practices. So again, these are the fiscal year 24 identified priority resource concerns in order. And then this one here is our fiscal year 25 sign up. These were the resource concern categories that were selected. And you can see that we've kind of touched on some of those the priorities that were identified. A big chunk of it was degraded plant condition and soil quality limitation, which is more like soil. So that is into and then we have our top practices for fiscal year 24. That were selected. We have mulching and pipe tunnels, drainage beds, and breaks in the establishment. And our total funding for this year was like 200,000 more than last year, so it's looking good for us. And with the local working groups input, it kind of helps us get more money in to go on and to help us get conservation. And that's my presentation.
The FY 24.
One more back.
The chart.
Oh, which one?
There, that.
Okay.
Jay, can you go to the next slide? Next one. Next. Go. The one with the wheel,
Oh, okay.
that. Yeah, that one. What was weather resilient?
Weather resilience would be more of like our producers taking advantage of natural precipitation. Like if it rains, are they doing anything to conserve that natural, like the soil moisture in the area? So so taking advantage of natural precipitation if they didn't have an irrigation system in place. But it would also, weather resilience also talks about like snow and all that other stuff, but out here it's more of just moisture management.
When you talked earlier about, expanded targets, I think you started with Guam. What's the determination in expansion of these, targets?
Well, so the original plan when this Joint Chiefs was created was to target an area that had most population. So they kind of targeted this is the like the watershed outline. So they kind of targeted the Inalahan area. And they also kind of looked at the kind of like the history of fire history. So it kind of, the area kind of stood out, and that's what was the original proposal. But if we could do it again, then we would try to include more in the south, which we've done now for the last portion of our program, but
So you basically get data sets or data sets.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is I think the Department of Forestry, or I don't know whose data is this, but there's fire history on that. And then also some other layers for like residential areas.
How come Georgia's not included, Scotland South, now hopefully, but Georgia, it's a big population. I
Yeah,
just wondered, I thought was something.
I'm not sure.
The future.
Yeah, that's something to consider, yeah. Is there, well. Yeah, again, is there like they're kind of looking at the data set of what like historic fires in the area. So I think this area here, the lower portion, kind of had a higher concentration where the higher occurrence. Thank you.
We'll do there's one more question and then, the north and south will do, local working group perhaps.
Everybody knows that it's all something. Are you guys planning to expand to the rest of the island or what?
Well, no, so that's why, yeah, I was mentioning there was another initiative, the National Water Quality Initiative. And I was thinking that probably be something more, more
The water main?
for the north, yeah. So that's what I was kind of thinking, that might be, an
That's
initiative.
okay for the north, but I'm in Central.
I think it all ties together.
Thank you so much, Jay. Please give him a round of applause.
So while we're changing slides.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Please help yourself with any refreshments. There is a lot, and they're here for you. So, the north and south will be reporting on outcomes and accomplishments. So for the Northern Guam updates, our accomplishments for soil quality, we've held a 3-day NRCS and Guam SWC event last year in October for a farmer rancher forester resource workshop that reached about 30 participants, spread knowledge of soil health with Dr. Galagi and outreach for NRCS programs. We've begun development of a healthy soils program. That is an educational and incentive program for agricultural producers to join the district registry, receive free soil testing and other access to resources and our partnerships as well. And what we want to do in that program is actually connect with other businesses to provide, discounts on things because, the cost of goods is very expensive and farming is a rough industry. And we want to be there to support you guys. Ongoing efforts to strengthen partnerships from local, regional to national. Stronger partnerships equals bigger impact. So the Northern Guam has been involved in not just trying to get down on the field with the local producers and our local NGOs and community members and creating partnerships with them. But we also want to reach at that regional level. So we've joined in with the Micronesia Islands Forum, Micronesia Challenge, we're part of that, so we can not only address what's going on Guam, but also understand what's going on and what's being affected within the islands. And the national portion is really us being part of the National Association of Conservation Districts, as well as partnering with our federal partners as like NRCS. We also utilize our Harvesting Success Series, which is an entrepreneurship program as a vehicle for our workshops. This increases awareness for best management practices for agriculture and professional growth. Because, we want you guys to also earn money. It's what you do for a living, and we want to make sure that you guys have all the resources and access and wellness to be able to provide for yourself and for your family. For long-term land protection, our accomplishments have been annually co-hosting the local working group in collaboration with SGSWCD and NRCS. Which gains feedback from all of you amazing people. Establish an online official registry for ease. And we currently have 50 producers on there and currently growing. That outcome really is just for food security and community wellness and to increase that. Because that's just so important. We want to minimize or slowly close the food security gap on island. That's ultimately our big goal. Another accomplishment would be our award notice for the Regional Conservation Partnership Program. As Jay had mentioned earlier, we were awarded for that, and that program is to support NRCS conservation practices such as CSP, equip items, increase food production and land restoration efforts. So in that application that we had sent out, it is to remove invasive species, help you put in best management practices, and even assist with like climate change efforts as well. So we want you guys to have the best outcome and, have the, how do I say this? We want to give as much resource as we can to you guys based on this. So this will be almost as a grant program. So we'll be giving funding towards our applicants, and it also will provide perimeter fencing as well for an acre and up. For pest pressure, our accomplishments is maintain current invasive species focused partnerships such as USDA APHIS. So we pay them yearly to be able to maintain the baseline of the management of feral swine. And then we've supported the Guam Invasive Species Council group coordination. Because they haven't got together for years, we wanted to ensure that we made that happen because invasive species is really, an issue for all of us. And that's just to respark Guam-based invasive species needed discussions from not just the local region, but also to the regional region. Priority 4, water erosion. Just so you know, for awareness, the priorities may be a little bit off because this was based on our long range plan that we had previous, and it needs to be updated, but it's still kind of a similar priority as well. So our accomplishment here is we discovered and applied for a funding source that addresses runoff, coral reefs, and aquifer health. That's increased awareness of benefits of best management practices, biochar, no-tilling. And that program we're calling is the agricultural stewardship for coral and aquifer health. So not only will we be doing cleanups, but we'll also be assisting agriculture producers in putting in NRCS funds to use CSP funding to provide you guys resources and funding to be able to use those in your management practices. So if you guys are already in our perimeter fencing grant, if you're already chosen, it's a similar concept, but the practices are different. So it's not perimeter fencing, it would be biochar, you wanna do that, then you get, and that one helps build the soil and hold carbon in your soil, and just teaching about that and to minimize the pollutants going into the aquifer. So we're tackling not only runoff, stormwater runoff, but also minimizing the pollutants that go down into the aquifer. Another one is our strengthened partnership. So in that application, we did receive support letters from the Guam EPA and Guam Sustainable Culture for this funding source. So we're really excited for that. Really excited to hold this workshops with them. And then we did meet with the GIGO and Tamuning mayors on village support and potential projects. So they do want to do community gardens, and we're building off our partnerships in that field. And again, I put stronger partnerships, bigger impact. And now water depletion. Our accomplishment here is really just utilizing our harvesting success series, again, for increased awareness of putting all that we can in these EMPs and then sharing it to the community and our agricultural producers. Any questions from you? No? Okay, and then we'll have Erica from Southern Guam to give their updates on their local work.
Okay, hi everyone, how's the day? Thank you for being here again today. I guess before we start into something serious again, I have a little joke. Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. No. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen, for that report. I'll go ahead and take a few minutes to walk us through the Southern District updates. And everything that's been accomplished since we last met as a local working group. So, everything I'm about to share connects directly to the priorities you, this body, has helped set during our last meeting back in August. So we like to show you what all the work that we've done for our Southern District and stay focused on what matters to you, the farmers, ranchers, landowners, and of course our partners as well. So getting into it, we'll start off with soil health. Just like the North, we have fully rolled out our soil health initiative with the University of Guam Soil Lab and Cooperative Extension. So today, any farmer who signs up with our district will receive a free soil test. And we connect them directly to the UOG Cooperative Extension for recommendations to help improve their soil health. So this program helps farmers better understand their soils, adjust their management practices, and reduce the risk of erosion and nutrient loss. So why this matters is because, of course, we know soil health. Poor soil health means weaker crops, more erosion, and higher costs for farmers, as gentlemen mentioned. So by offering soil testing and real support, we're helping farmers rebuild and understand their soils. And that was directly answering one of the top priorities this local working group raised during last year's meeting. So moving on, while much of our work this past year was focused on soil health and invasive species management, we also took important steps to support water conservation. Just today, or well, yesterday, this past week, our staff was down in the village of Malasu, Talapopo, and in Alahan. Meeting the farmers where they are to encourage them to sign up for the Joint Chiefs Landscape Restoration Partnership. Funding that's available through Jay's office. And that program essentially provides conservation, technical, and financial assistance for farmers and landowners to adopt conservation best management practices that help your lands become more defensible against wildfires, thus reducing erosion and runoff into waterways, thus helping protect waters, rivers, and streams in our coastal areas. So happy to report, we had about 15 applications submitted for the Joint Chiefs Landscape Restoration Partnership. And that was, so Maddie, everyone is our conservation tech that was down south. And I was like, Maddie, we need 5. I'll be happy with 10. She came back, we got 15. So pretty happy and pretty proud of our landowners and farmers engaging in this program. We also built a conservation demonstration farm, so shout out to the Inalahan Mayor's Office as well as UOG Cooperative Extension and NRCS. So this conservation demonstration farm showcases micro drip irrigation systems equipped with water timers, helping farmers save water while growing healthier crops in a more sustainable fashion. If you haven't yet checked it out, you should check it out. It's by the road, so it's very cool. We just launched and unveiled that demo site this past Saturday, in which there were close to 50 participants and community members that showed up, and it was very successful. It was very hot as well, but that didn't stop us. We were still out there planting, but I was telling the chairman, I was like, oh, we need to start having these planting events at 4 or sometime, not in the middle of the day. So noted for next time. And of course, the soil testing program that we are rolling out helps protect water by helping farmers better manage their fertilizer and nutrients so we're reducing the risk of nutrient management into streams and sensitive coastal areas. So on to pest pressure and invasive species. So we continue working with the USDA APHIS Wildlife Services to manage feral swine populations across southern Guam. The north is doing the same thing. In addition, we have also we've launched our feral swine feasibility study. So we were able to buy some new these pig brake tracks. They're low cost, but they're very innovative at the same time. And we are looking at testing new methods of managing invasive managing feral pigs, right? But also engaging with the farmers to volunteer their time to do so. I was out in the field at one of our tracking sites this past Friday. There was 20 pigs in the trash, and they're no longer around. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was wild, but it was funny because the next day was the planting event, so we're doing things. We are also very proud of one of our bigger grant projects. Sorry. So we rolled out our perimeter fencing program. So Geraldine Tubin, she is our project director overseeing that. We aim to protect over 40 acres of farmland from pig and wildlife damage. So we did receive funding to provide a cost share to farmers down south to install perimeter fencing to keep out the pigs. We have received over 47 applications. There was a lot of interest, and we are looking at implementing all of those applications. So we're right now it's a work in progress, but obviously it's definitely a need within the community since there was so many applications that we received. So some outcomes from October 2024 to March 2025, there were about 208 pigs removed with the APHIS partnership. We have 6 pig rigs, tracks deployed, which have also received, removed hundreds of pigs. And then, yeah, the 46 fencing application. Long-term protection of land. So our big accomplishment this year is that we continued our work with the Guam Sentinel Landscapes Partnership to protect important agricultural and conservation lands. In fact, Patrick Keeler, our GSLP coordinator, we just met before this, so I'd like to call up Patrick really quick to kind of talk to you about the Steve Guam Sentinel Landscapes Partnership. So, Patrick.
So most of you guys are familiar with the program, but for those of you who aren't, the Guam Sentinel Landscape Partnership is a formal partnership between federal, local, and territorial partners in government to protect our agricultural and conservation lands. It's a product of the Sentinel Landscape Program, which is a federal program between DoD, USDA, and DOI. For Guam, we've included Gov Guam as well in that. And it's basically a formal partnership to do that protection. We prioritize and create conservation goals and work together to basically take all of the funds, capacity, et cetera, that we have, put it together and do as well as we can with it, with what we have. Did that about cover it, or did you want me to go into anything else? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we were officially designated. We were officially designated the Sentinel Landscape, and that was just announced over the weekend. That means our island is now recognized as a priority area where conservation, working lands, and military readiness. First territory. One of So the local working group, of course, last year emphasized the importance of protecting our working land. We need farms to stay farms and just keep them in production and making sure we are conserving it for future generations to come. And by building these partnerships and strengthening our support, we're making sure Guam's lands stay working and healthy. Okay, so just not too much more to go. In terms of outreach for farmers, last year Jay reported on some numbers, and when we looked at those numbers of how many applications or contracts are being funded, we're like, we can do better than that, right, Jay? So late November, we hosted an EQIP and CSP enrollment workshop, and this happened right before the USDA application deadline. And we helped over 40 producers submit applications. And during that workshop, we walked our farmers through all that scary paperwork, but it wasn't scary in the end. And it was great. The farmers received that well. They said that the workshop helping them understand the paperwork was really a need. And with that, they submitted an application. So we're very happy to see what comes out of that and to report on the successes of all of those applications. So I also want to note that the Southern District has, we revamped our registration process. It is our priority to connect with our farmers to make sure that we are doing our part to get to know you. So we have launched this registration process in where we will go out to your farm if you sign up with us to get to know your story, the challenges that you're facing, and then essentially helping you address whatever resource concerns that you are experiencing on your lands. And also highlighting great opportunities, right? So it is very important that we as a district strengthen our partnership with you, our farmers, so you are our partners as well. And why this matters is because last local working group, the farmers said we need more face-to-face. not just pamphlets or emails, right? Come out to our land, get to know our story, walk with us. So, and that's exactly what we're doing. We are getting out there, boots on the ground, helping deliver conservation. So with that, we have about 46 members registered. So we are looking to double those numbers and to constantly keep increasing. And with that increase, also seeing an increase in adopted conservation best management practices. So with that, it's not my last slide. Expanding on conservation, education, and community. We are also working directly with the schools, fostering and cultivating the next generation of environmental leadership. So the Southern District, we did host an educators conservation summit, in which brings together teachers and educators to learn about how to incorporate conservation within their curriculum. 15 teachers attended, and they're going to graduate very soon this Saturday. They get to earn 3 graduate credits, but it was a week-long summit held in collaboration with the University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability. And they were all from the Southern schools. We were also able to get some private schools to attend. Where is Johnny and Dave? Johnny and Dave, they led that initiative, but we look to continue that next year and keep it going strong. We've also expanded our grassroots advocacy. So we did meet with our oversight chair for environment and agriculture by Speaker Tony Atta to introduce our organization and just to strengthen that relationship. We've also went out and started meeting face-to-face with the mayors down south to get to know what type of conservation issues that they're facing and what they want to see for their village. And it's been great so far. We still have a few mayors to get to, but it's definitely our grassroots advocacy effort. So be on the lookout for some great things from the Southern villages. All right, I think I'm out of breath. I'm ready to turn this mic over to the program.
How big is, you mentioned the colorful farm, how big is that about?
It's about an 80 by 30 area.
Are they, I know I should wait for the north, but are they planning to do something like that up north?
I will have general.
I mean, that sounds fantastic. If we can train people, even regular families to do that, you know,
Right.
it's just incredible.
What is her name?
My name is Gary.
Gary, thank you, Gary, for that. So, you know, later on in the agenda, we will be developing some initiatives. So we're going to keep that in mind.
If I can offer, the director of Parks and Rec, this gave me 1,200 square feet at the Decorative Sports Complex to start a food forest. So if you want to try to do something like in at the Decorative Sports Complex, I'm sure he's very amenable to doing that. I just planted my first 2 trees this morning, so.
Are we? We're gonna. Thank you so much for offering that. I mean, it's definitely the whole purpose behind the conservation farm, right? We're promoting conservation practices. Farmers have farmed traditionally the way that, and there's new methods, but there's also our cultural type of methods. But this demonstration farm serves as a visual representation of the different conservation practices that are primarily used here in Guam and the benefits, right? You to see it, touch the timer and just get to know it. So yeah, that's great.
Have an appointment to go down there.
No, you can just show up. Also in that demonstration farm, there's a feral swine perimeter fence, right? Because as we're promoting our feral swine perimeter fence program, we also want to show an example of how this fence would look. So it's pretty neat. Now we need to put a fence, Gary, the pigs. Well, I will take some more questions.
Yeah, just curious, I know the district registry you talked about, you say currently there was 46, right? I mean, who's eligible? Is it subsistence farmers, maybe commercial farmers?
Yeah, that's a great
Or everything?
question. So in order to register to be a part of our active district registry with either the north or the south, you have to either be a bona fide registered farmer of Guam as registered with Guam Department of Agriculture, or a landowner that's registered with the Department of Land Manager or Management. Or you could also be a CLTC recipient or lessee. We just have to see your documentation that's it. So land occupier, which is like a land leasing with private landowner, or a registered bona fide farmer. So one of those things, criteria will get you in. Are you a farmer?
No, I'm actually a cannabis center to be in Paris. Office.
Okay, but you
But
land.
I'm a citizen farmer.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. So if you own land, or if you're leasing land, you'll be registered to be a member of our district. Whether you're in the north or south, it just what village are you from? These are questions we ask. What village are you from?
The origins are, my roots are in Guam, but I actually live in.
All right, so
Big
let's see.
difference.
Okay,
Has there ever been thought of catching some of these pigs and I don't know if we can convert them, but to save for emergencies, put them in pens and I'm trying to do some research to find out what kind of pay. To take a couple of pigs and keep them actually farm them.
raise them.
Yeah, raise them.
I know primarily, if we're catching pigs on private lands, it's really up to the private land owner. So we could strike a deal. Chad, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so I just want to share that for our pig rig feasibility study, this is conducted on private land, so it's the farmer themselves that are catching these pigs. But I will share that the pigs they're all given out to the community if the community who wants them.
The requirement, Dave, is that they copy your property and set up a trap. Whatever you catch in the trap, he has to be dead before he leaves the trap. Remember that. Okay, and the property owner has a well, he can give it to Avis and Avis can dispose of it. But it has to be terminated before he leaves the track. Okay, so we can't own it.
But we'll get you I'm sure they're domestic pigs.
But you want any of that? You got plenty.
This is about snake.
The question, okay, the question is, what happened to the snake? Is it out of control? You know what? It's for you.
You asked, yes, thought of that.
Are the ground tree snakes out of control? What's going on? With the status update?
Is it under control or what?
Yeah, so most of USDA's work snake is currently interdiction, so we're focusing on trying to stop it from spreading other places still, and then also protecting critical infrastructure, so we have a lot of traps around PPA power substations and along power lines and things like that. There's not currently a program or a funding mechanism for trapping on individuals' properties or around more communities, but that is something we're looking into.
Okay, well, I will go ahead, thank you all for the questions and for your time and just, being here again today. Happy Soil and Water Stewardship Week, by the way. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back to Jenna Lynn to take us through the rest of our.
Go right into the resource priority review and feedback. So what we want to do in this section is that we want you guys to kind of review the local working group 2024 results, final data points to see if you kind of like using them.
I don't know how to zoom this, oh, you mean this side.
Bigger.
Is it? I don't know. Did it move this? That's the book. Oh, sorry.
On that, I'm gonna need you guys to count from 1 to 5, and then you guys are gonna divide into 5 groups. 1 is here, 2 is here, 3 in the middle, and then 4 and 5. So we're gonna start with Mr. Bill Donald. Yeah, we're gonna go into a breakout
I think
session,
that's the big.
because we want to find out,
You're one.
yeah, 1, 2, yes.
2.
3. While we're doing that, great, you guys have received, a local working group report where you can share your current feedbacks on the items.
You're fine.
I'll be fine.
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, 5, 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 4.
Yes. 4.
5.
Oh, what was that? Escape. Escape, right?
Yeah, so please break out into your groups.
Can you announce what the tables are?
Where the tables are at? Number?
So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, run with scale. Yes.
Any help? We have group 1 over here where I am standing on my hand up. Yeah. Group 1 is people. All right. That's about group 2. So that's me with my hand up. Group 3 right here in the middle, where I'm standing with my hand. Thank you, everybody. Group 4.
No matter where we go.
I got group 5 over here.
Okay, so as you guys are settling in,
5 over here. 5. All right, everybody's got group 4 right over here where I'm holding my hand up. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Group 4.
as everyone's settling into your groups,
3 right here in the middle. Thank you.
as everyone is settling into their groups, everyone should have a paper in front of them in regards to the local working group 2024 priorities. So in your groups, please discuss, have one reporter in your groups, one reporter who will report out what you have spoken about. So please So again, please in your groups designate one reporter. You should have a local working group questionnaire in front of you. That will be something you will answer individually and together as part of the discussion. We'll give you guys about 15 to 20 minutes to discuss, and then we'll report out afterwards.
Two, could you guys probably going to be your reporter? Okay. All right, for group two, we got Ms. Day, transcribing and all the note taking. Thank you for your service. Group three, got it? Can I get a recorder? Thank you, kind sir. Group five, wow, you guys are up lunch. How y'all doing? Do we have a recorder transcriber for group five? Thank you very much. We are appreciated for your service. Half day group four, how y'all doing today? Hope you guys are doing lovely. May I ask who your recorder?
Oh, there, how do you do it? Oh, just spread it? Oh, sorry.
So it's initiative.
First off,
Update everybody, while you guys are in your groups, you guys should have a questionnaire
I saw
at the front. If you do not have a questionnaire, please let me know and I will get you one right away. So as we take this time to get to know everybody in our group, please also discuss the questions that are on the questionnaire. You guys are all a group, and then once we're gonna give you guys a little time to go over it, and then we'll share our answers afterwards. So please take these next 5-10 minutes to go over it. Thank you very much. All right. Question, does anybody need a questionnaire? I have extra if any. All right.
I'm still.
You can get anything else.
Which hat? Yes, now I should get my. Which is. Yeah, everyone. We also have. We have.
Everyone has a paper for the yes, for the local working group. But for the report out, you're only reporting out on the third line. Okay, those are the remaining questions.
We are only going to. The rest of
Minutes left, discussion, 3 minutes left for discussion. About 1 more minute left, before we start out, 1 more minute. All right, wrap up the conversation and get ready to report out. Please, designated reporter, they will get. So rather than conversations on changing priority concerns. And which would like to report out first. Okay, so who's your okay, quiet down, everyone. Group one will be presenting first.
Okay, hi everyone, this is group one. The one that we thought was the most priority. Was the pest pressure and invasive species. The reason why we chose this issue was the name was the feral pigs. We thought feral pigs was the biggest pest, and we kind of when if we don't tackle that issue, it kind of falls into the other one with like land getting destroyed, the water quality and soil erosion. So that's the reason why we chose that as our biggest issue. So yeah, group one chooses pest pressure and invasive species. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Two. Who is your reporter?
Hi. I think our group would also prioritize pest pressure and invasive species. Also looking at new species that are being introduced, not just what we have now and the pigs and the insects, but things that are now coming to Guam attacking our Jay, what did you call it? Our cucumbers and melons and stuff. The beetles that have recently been introduced as well that need to be under control. Man-made, as far as soil erosion and health, we also talked about man-made fires and how we think more penalties should be implemented for that. But I think one of the big things that we agreed on that kind of falls under protection of land and outreach and resources for farmers was access to land, because there is a shortage of land and land is very expensive right now for farmers to own, to buy, to rent. And so we think that support needs to be done around providing access for farmers to farm, as well as farmers can't access infrastructure, land, and labor because of our economy right now. And farmers, there's no new farmers wanting to get into the business, and it's very hard for existing farmers. So access to land and infrastructure and labor, which also ties into like just the cost of farming, the cost of imports, and with inflation and shipping costs, everything makes it very difficult for farmers to compete. So I think that was it for our group.
Who would like to go next? Oh, three. I was going down. Go ahead.
We were outnumbered, so our priority concern actually falls under outreach education and resources for the producers. Was kind of not really with it at first, but understanding that, so this is basically the recommendation for Guam. Although it's bigger than it has been before, we still need more input. So I'm gonna support the rest of the group on the outreach part of it because we're only so few. Our second one was water quality and quantity. I'm just gonna go down like this, but yeah, our priority concern is outreach and education, letting our people know our resources and what it is we need to protect. And then we went with water quality and pest pressure for, second and third. And then soil erosion and health is our fourth, long-term protection and land is our fifth. That's pretty much what we got. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah. We chose the soil, I'm sorry, the farmers, because we can't solve sustainability and food security without more farmers here.
Second. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Anyone would like to go next? 4 or 5?
Our group also chose the outreach and resources for farmers. And a concern that was brought up was the tariffs and how that's gonna affect the ability to get fresh food and the need to be more self-sufficient and encourage more farmers. We also talked about the need to have a farmers co-op in the south part of the island rather than just in the north of the island. And then the other ones that we chose water quality, quantity, that's also a concern, soil erosion and health, pest pressure and long-term protection of land is our. Thank you.
Okay, so for the number one priority, it was voted at 6 votes, long-term protection of land as the top priority. And then all of the issues afterwards kind of fall under the umbrella, making sure that we have the land for the farmers. And then, the resources on those lands, so, kind of at, following after is pest pressure and invasive species. And then right under kind of at equal levels is both water quality and quantity. Soil erosion and soil health would be at 3 and 4. And then last but not least is lowest priority being outreach and resources for farmers. I will add on to the note, we do actually have a lot of outreach and resources available for farmers. I would like to make a little connection both for NRCS, as well as their districts and cooperative extension and outreach. If you guys or farmers in our community have questions, then you can reach out. Their numbers and offices are available online. So we're out there. We would be more than willing to help you guys out if you have questions. Thank you.
Awesome, everyone, great job. So we'll be going into a 5-minute break and then we'll be back. Please help yourself with refreshments. And then we'll be going into partner-led initiatives and breaking out into each priority area. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. How about with other things, man? Yes.
The residents do the pre-tax stuff, so when you don't do it, still like, the diesels and all that stuff, they want it to. And then what about all the, all the stuff? This is still recording. This one, okay. But, what about like all the? Okay.
And
5 years old. Okay. 5. Okay, so the rest we could take the half ones. Okay.
Uh, 3 minutes, 45.
Saving money, yes.
Okay, everybody, we're gonna be starting soon. Did I thank you guys for the music? Thank you. Everybody, please start to find your seats. We're gonna be starting very soon. We got a little music from the Bible going.
The initiatives, and everyone will have to.
One moment of your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Just one moment. Thank you very much.
So each table has a paper in the middle stating what initiative you guys will be focusing on. So say here is soil health and erosion, and then you can see that you will also have an easel, so you will choose a transcriber who will take notes for the team that will report out later. So one transcriber and one reporter this time for this breakout session. So this will be a 75 minutes activity, and halfway through, if you feel like you would like to try to go to another initiative that you would like to put input on, you can, but we will do that later as well. So you will see and have worksheets in front of you that your team will be working on filling out. And you will also be discussing what solutions and initiatives that you see or would like to be implemented based on what we have presented so far. And there is also the option of initiatives that haven't been already introduced that you can suggest with your team as well. So I suggest discussing more and getting clear on what even one project activity you guys truly agree on and expand on in regards to the initiative that's in front of you. Any questions? So again, you will have to choose one transcriber who will take notes on your brainstorm and feedback, as well as a reporter who will report back. And you should have an easel with a paper pad and marker available to you. Please begin. So you have about 30 minutes and then we'll shift to a different initiative. Thank you. Yeah.
Y'all, please don't forget, we got easels with boards on them. Please write down everything that you guys are feeling. If you guys need a marker, please let me know. I got you.
So the question is the order all the year, it's not stop.
I think that's right.
And I just thought. It's so, just goes up the corners and all. Yes. And also,
I need to write this down, give some group of five.
So. Where you go.
How you doing over here? You're doing amazing, you look amazing. How we doing here? As long as it's with the top that is on the table, some problems that you guys see around, some solutions that you guys feel like might help in the future. And also some community activities that can possibly help us. Also, if you have some free time while you're waiting for your transcriber to write, we do have a QR code up here for your feedback. If you do have some time in between, like your talks within the group, please feel free to scan the QR code, give us your feedback, tell us what you like, don't tell us what you don't like, tell us, let us know. We can all be better. While we're working on the topics, I'm gonna serenade you guys with a little bit of music, not for myself. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at 15-minute mark. We have 15 minutes left in the discussion. Thank you very much. At the 15-minute mark. If you like to review priority Okay, everyone. Quick. We are past the 15-minute mark. We are past the 15-minute mark. So if you'd like to switch as an option to a new priority, you are welcome to. Please remember though that you will be reporting out in the original text. So if you'd like to check out another priority, but remember you are reporting out in the original. It's optional.
My question. Thank you.
Viva, viva, viva! Yes, sir. Confident everybody, if I can have your attention for just one moment, please. Your attention for just one little detail moment. Thank you very much. You guys are much appreciated. We have about 5 more minutes till we present. So if you guys can start heading back to your tables so we can hear everybody's thoughts. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here today. Please start to find your table so we can get the ball moving. Beds down, all beds down, yes. 1 minute, folks, 1 minute. So we start.
The crash or what the heck? Oh, there. Oh, the green. Oh, that's right.
1 minute, folks, 1 minute. Please start to find your tables. We're gonna be starting very soon. Thank you very much.
Sorry. Because I'm on the phone and then we're live streaming, so I can. It's to me, right? Also, like. So we go in. Might be a. I mean, it would be up here though. Oh, she opened it? Where is it? Oh, you sent it already. Oh, sorry. Sent it. So you put that up now?
And so our
And we'll be again, your entity or radar number two, so please report out.
I'm done, I'm sure.
So which priority would like to go first?
Hey, come to, yes, come down to the stage. Come to.
All right. Quiet, everyone. Anyone wanting to listen to us or not, we'll listen to your secret conversations. Okay. In any case, for our presentation, we were doing pest pressure and invasive species. So to begin with, we actually started to talk about the ungulates, so deer and also the feral swine issues. So we start talking about, one way to take care of them is of course for the hunting, but there's some problems with hunting. One is the hunters need to be educated. Gun safety, where they can do it, what the rules are, other things came up as, permissions, knowing where they can hunt. Permitting, permissions, also having a longer season. Now, the whole point of this is, hey, what's one of the best ways to get rid of a deer or a pig? In your stomach, right? That's why we went ahead and brought up hunting. Now, a few other things we also mentioned is more derby events, community outreach buy-ins, and also enforcement regulations, even though we want to, have folks take care of the deer and feral pigs and help our stomachs, we want to do it in a regulated way. Then we went ahead and talked about, the issues with other invasives, and of course, everyone's familiar with little fire ant and coconut rhinoceros beetle. After Typhoon Marwar, there was a big issue with green waste, and soon after that, little fire ant, CRD, sent spread faster. So, with that, we came up with, a few things in discussion. One is better sanitation, being able to essentially a plan of action to take care of it. So a few things we did. One, at the initial ports of entry, just have better screening regulations, checking on the material. Okay. We also, as I mentioned with Marwar, post-disaster, we kind of debated, should there be a central location that might be more appropriate to have different locations on the island where people can bring in their green waste. That can then be made into compost, and that compost then would make it that we don't have a need to bring in soil and buy it from Home Depot. By the way, if people don't realize, the imported soil is a vector where invasives can come into Guam. Okay. But so our idea was, to have, basically a couple sites, northern, central, southeast, southwest Guam. So that's basically the main things. The other main thing is we definitely need to have, a strategic plan on how to deal with, the green waste and to take care of the, to prevent security issues with things like the fire and CRB or unknown insect. So this is kind of a nutshell. Any questions? Anything else? All right.
Thank you, Michael.
Let's do group one. There you go, good sir.
So we're group two, group one, and we're soil erosion and health. We did have the same, idea as we wanted to establish a green waste management initiative. So that one will stay, mulching. We also had the same, like, we have 4 locations, on the island. That was our idea too, with preventing fire ants and environment beetle. That was great about Home Depot. We also wanted, we were trying to think of events, and we know there's a lot of like Arbor Day, Earth Month, the stewardship week, so we're like, oh, we need to plan events that focus on plants. So for like wildland restoration, urban planting, there was someone brought up about getting a lot of people involved to these events. We also had an idea of adding a seed bank or seed exchange. Because we know like one issue is like horticulture hasn't had the seedlings available, so we're like, oh, we need to plan another idea for people that want to plant, how they can get access to those seedlings. Mr. McDonald shared how drones have been implemented in going to these badlands and spreading seeds. And the biggest issue that we came up with was urban development, so we were talking amongst our group of how we need to review these policies, how to mitigate the runoff, so maybe there's a disconnect in either developing the policy or enforcing it. So yeah, that was what we were saying. Thank you.
Check out the beautiful group 3. How are we doing today?
We're doing great. All right, so our group is water quality and quantity. And a couple concerns that we had were Guam EPA capacity, low water pressure and water retention, and then people farming cars. And then going into the NGLA, which is the Northern Lowlands Aquifer, for those who don't know. And then, non-point source pollution, especially in Tumon, Talapoco Bay, and Arahan Bay. And then some solutions that we had were to obviously remove the cars. Establish maybe like a abandoned vehicle fund. Oh, it's already established. Maybe push the mayor's council to actually use it. Okay, and then, maybe have revenue tax, identify vehicles that are being abandoned and fine the people. And then, water retention practices, starting like, pushing it to our ag producers, and then hopefully have the community follow after. And then focus on recharging our natural springs. And as for our river runoff, we wanted to establish vegetative and riparian buffers to hopefully like catch the sedimentation and such before it reaches our ocean. And then water catchment to assist drains going to water treatment facilities. And invasive species control, we know about the feral swine and the deer, how that affects basically everything well, it's fun. And then also reduce wildland burning and off-roading, and most importantly, plant more trees. Thank you. I forgot. All right, and we also have community engagement using workshops and getting together for the urban community forestry. And then UOG, Guam agencies, USDA, DUI, Department of Parks and Rec, and then scholarships and GDOE to do presentations for community awareness. Thank you. Number 5 here.
Yeah, centers, I'm going to, our topic is long-term protection of land, and I'm going to point out the zoning law problems, and then Mark Acosta will talk about CLTC land and those problems. From my point of view, these laws, they're represented in zoning. We have no revised master plan that has been presented to the legislature as of 2016, but it was not approved. There are two very large rezoning projects besides camp blocks. There's 3,000 acres that used to be residential, that is now the power plant and a number of quartet properties. 2,000 residential, recreational acres lost, and it's hard to recover farmland and residential land in the power plant. You drive along Route 3, you'll see clearing on all that property, and it goes property line to property line, it's cleared flat. And it's hard to take, our discussion was, it's hard to reclaim agricultural land that's been rezoned for industrial and commercial purposes. The other large parcel that is in the news recently is a huge solar farm off of Cross Island Road, east of Santa Rita, and it's a huge solar farm, previously agricultural, and is a private land. Completely rezoned to solar farm, which there's a lot of hills there, so I'm not quite sure how they're gonna flatten that. Solar farm is being flat land. So those are two very large parcels that went through the Department of Land Management. There are public hearings that no one shows up to. But all land on Guam that is not military is open to rezoning if you have enough money. And if the public doesn't show up, all of the land, including our agricultural land, is open to rezoning, and it will never be agricultural or green space. Or that's my prediction. So, in addition to the zoning laws on these parcels that look underutilized, get dumping. There's some Superfund sites on this land. It's not really clearly identified on our zoning maps. We have a waste and sewage non-compliance on many of our agricultural lands, and in particular, I know of a very large parcel in CLT. The mission is that the legislature and Department of Land Management and the people of Guam need to make, in my opinion, they need to raise their hand, they need to get engaged, and they need to look at how much residential land, how much, you know, we're a small island. Once it's gone, you can't go to the next one. We're a county according to US land mass size. You know, once our land is gone, it's gone. There's no county next door that's undeveloped that we can go. So I think we need to rise up. We did discuss that. And we need lessee training on land use and on agricultural land use. And on the Superfund sites, we're funding and programs to clean up things that they're responsible for. And community engagement, for me, it's like rise up. We need land management, we need land plans, we need land set aside that is not going to be converted to industrial and commercial use. So, CLTC.
All right, afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Costello. I'll be talking about another issue that was identified in group number 5, which was the loss of land due to non-compliance issues with the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. Now, CLTC holds majority of ag lands in their inventory, and there's thousands of ag lessees on the island. However, a lot of the issues that we're seeing is those who are out of compliance under these agreements. For some reason, they're not using the land to farm what their intentions were. So the target area for this would be the entire Guam, both north and south. And then some of the solutions that we have identified was capacity building within the agency itself. Many of the land agents are not trained in agriculture. However, they are part of the agriculture lease agreement team. So building capacity of their agents through workshops and hands-on demonstrations, as well as CLTC lessee trainings. Many of these new farmers come in without any knowledge about how to farm. So we could offer lessee trainings as well as, providing them hands-on trainings through community demonstration sites. We could target certain areas, like in Dead or Jigo in the north, right, that have a lot of CLTC land. And what if we had community demonstration sites where the lessees and the agents come in to develop a site and then train others coming into the program? I see it as a community approach rather than an individual approach, where people around that same community could help each other out to get into compliance. Now, one of the biggest issues on Guam is food security, but imagine if all of these lessees are actually doing what they're doing. We could have a lot of food produced in thousands of farms, right? Thank you.
Group 5. Four. We ready? We feeling ready? Yeah, love it.
Well, don't worry, because we solved all the problems in our group. Everybody solved. You're welcome. So ours is outreach and resources for farmers, and you guys come up with some awesome ideas. First resource or issue is just education. We talked about having safety workshops, food handling, marketing, record keeping, certifications, licenses, all that stuff for farmers. And also having a mentorship program. So that was a great idea. And then capacity. Some of our farmers have a hard time finding labor to come and work for them. So we're talking about how to increase manpower and have reliable labor. And Jay came up with a great idea about having a farm labor registry where people could rate farm laborers, and then they could know how reliable, things like that. So there's a little bit of competition on both ends to try to get better and more reliable. It sounds like it's expensive labor, cheaper labor. Another concern was that there's nowhere on the southern end of the island to sell your produce. Really all we have is the farmers market in Dededo. And so we talked about establishing a farmers co-op in the north, the central, and the south. So that it's more accessible to both the farmers and people that want to buy the produce. We talked about this would encourage a little more self-sufficiency. People could sell more of their made products. We talked about honey, baking breads and jams, all that stuff that people could be have a little more home industry and closer to them. We talked about the importance of self-sufficiency and having small farms and home gardening, and how to encourage that so that every family has their own garden. And we talked about how perhaps the co-op could actually encourage that too, because then there's a place, if they grow too much, there's a place they could sell it or make their jams or whatever it is and have access to selling that. And then finally, we talked about equipment, how a lot of times there's just not equipment available to farmers that need it. And so we talked about some programs to either rent or lease equipment. And Jay was telling us that the Farm Service Agency has a farm startup loan and the bigger loans, but so we talked a little bit about how to do that. Oh, I forgot this one. Having a nursery or a seed bank where farmers, if they propagate more than they need, they can sell to other farmers, and that could also be at the co-op as well. The common buy seeds or seeds or whatever they need. Just seeing if we made, so I was able to cover everything. That's about the gist of it. Did I miss anything that you guys talked about? Okay.
Thank you all for great feedback and ideas. It sounds like we have expanded on a lot of our local priority concerns, and we have some new ways forward. So that's really, really exciting. So now that we've got some new feedback and new ideas, does anyone have any other resource concerns that we haven't touched on that are not the current 5?
Other things that comes to mind is we didn't have to. So. Sorry, nice to meet you. So, yeah, just to repeat, we have. And then there's the building. So one of the things in my research, I got a lot of excellent input from a lot of the folks here, sorry. So, just what you should into mind is, post-storm, recovery. For example, so it's geared towards that area. For example, having, one of the thoughts that was, made to me was, like a rapid response. Because if we take a look at the responses in the last, storm, you know, it's pretty clear that some of the responses were, was there. But the timeliness of the response was an issue. So basically, storm resiliency, post-storm recovery, which obviously impacts the farmers, in a lot of ways, especially if it's a livelihood. Times, you know, there's times when it's sick, right? So they need to, quickly recover that. So just providing some sources for resiliency and velocity of recovery after storm.
Nice, great idea. Anyone else would like to share?
Since people are really hard on, I feel like I'm trying to implement the bartering system where I got eggplant and you got trade. Back in before the war, I did this research and the ship didn't come in, so everybody had to barter. So if we can, gosh, this really short distance. Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is not something new as much as it's an add-on to what Marshall Foster was saying with the Suburban Land Trust. I highly recommend that the soil and water districts propose to the Suburban Land Trust that to require all ag lands have an approved conservation plan. That way we can hold it to a standard, and when the standards might be, you better not have any junk cars or washing machines.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to add maybe one more? Everyone agrees? Okay, so we will move on. Thank you everyone for your feedback. We're going to a presentation with Chad Richardson. And he's gonna share a little bit about the updates on USDA APHIS. I mean, right after you can have a 5-minute Q&A session.
It's up already. So how much time were you? Cause I talked for like 2 hours. All right, 5 minutes. I was told I could do a quick 5-minute update, and Erica asked me to present a little bit on where we are with an agency. With our Feral Pig program, and talk some numbers. So I'm throwing out some numbers about what we have funded, what our current program is, and kind of where I hope to go. A lot of you know me, a lot of you don't. I'm Chad Richardson. I am about 1.5 years here in Guam now. But I spent my entire career working for Wildlife Services, started as a pig trapper in 1995. So I'm going on 30 years, pretty much, still talking about pigs. So I didn't realize that it's been 30 years talking about pigs, but here I am. So I recently took over the feral pig program within our agency about 6 months ago. So Noah, my assistant over here, and I do a lot of the state work. We do all the other work that Wildlife Services does here, but feral pigs is now part of my work for 6 months. So this is just kind of new for me, I guess, in that way. So this is the latest and greatest. So anything that happened 6 months older, it's not my fault. Okay. So I'm gonna hit on just a couple quick points. I wanna briefly introduce the faces of wildlife service, my employees, or pig trappers that are out there. Talk real quickly about feral pig damage. I'm not gonna dwell on it because we all know what it is and we've all been talking about it already. A quick slide about our funding challenges and where we at. I'm gonna show the rough numbers for our funding programs. And then I just want to touch on what I'm working on, what our program's working on, what we can all work on along the same lines that we've been talking about, what we can do better on feral pigs and what we can do better as a community. And then lastly, I'm gonna sell why we should be the ones doing this. So these are my guys. We talked to several of you already. Joe Rabone is our full-time trapper in the north. We have Jathan Minnow is our full-time trapper in the south. Jerome Larimer is, we have about $45,000 that we work on Guam National Wildlife Refuge. Jerome is doing that work, and then I have him doing another thing. So essentially, I'll show you the slide later. I really have about 2 1/4 guys, but these are my guys. These guys are local guys. Joe lives in the north, services the north. Jason lives in the south, services the south. This is one of the things that I did different when I came here in the past. Our guys have been rotated out of our feral swine work. Having done this my whole career, I know that that doesn't work. You know, our guys should build trust, build relationships with the community, so we got to keep those guys there. So that's one of the things, that's the reason why they're here. And I invite these guys to a lot of the events so that people get to know these guys. These are the guys. Again, I'm not gonna dwell on the damage. We all know the damage is out there. I've got lots of slides of damage and I can talk all day long about this stuff, and the disease stuff. Since they only gave me 5 minutes, I'm not gonna talk about it, but it's all there. You guys know what the damages are. We've been talking about it today already. Okay, so here's something that I also implemented since I've started 6 months ago. These are numbers that are just 6 months old. So I taught my guys, because I've done this most of my career, and we always would do a site visit and we would literally try to drill down dollar amounts of damage. Here, people before me we were documenting feral swine damage just as damage threats, and we put it in our system, but we really weren't trying to put hard numbers at it. We weren't really pushing the landowners. How much did that banana tree cost? You know, and so in the last 6 months, I told my guys, we've gone out on various site visits, and I kind of showed them how to do this, how to implement them into our system. So these are all brand new numbers. We hope to continue this. This will be great ammunition so that we can try to vie for more funding down the road. So just in the last 6 months, we've assessed 19 properties that have over $46,000 in damages to garden, vegetables, fruits, nuts, trees, shrubs. I can break that down more, but that's what we've got just in 6 months. Another 20 properties assessed for general damage, and that's primarily rooting, various types of rooting, and that's been assessed at 17. So just in 6 months, we've already documented nearly $64,000 in damages. And that's not scratching the surface. We all know there's a lot more than that, but it is something. Again, disease issues, I can't even put a dollar price tag on that. So this is just stuff that I can put hard dollars on. And we're going to continue to do this, and I think this will be great for our community to show these kinds of numbers. Total take to date in the last 6 months, I guess, I threw that in here, 626. I hear you over there whispering about it.
We were saying 19 and 20, it's 39, but he's saying, how do you get, I guess the 69 is not showing the other numbers.
All right, that's a good question. So a lot of times those are properties that we actually assess the damage on.
And that's what we're talking about, saying this is my way to show.
But we would make contacts with other landowners. So there may be a property, that's a good question though, that we actually only took pigs or assessed damage on that one property, but we'll talk with 3 or 4 other surrounding landowners that we're dealing with the same thing.
We already got, we were figuring out, giving it back.
Did you figure that out? Okay.
Ready that.
All right, I gotta rush through this. 'Cause I only got 5 minutes. You're holding me up here. I don't want to be accused of talking too much. Damn it. All right. Funding. These are the flat tax numbers, all right? And sometimes this hasn't been talked about. It's like the elephant in the room, but we gotta talk about it. This is what we get. The territories get a flat rate from our National Feral Swine Program of $125,000. That comes to our agency. That's what we spend. That's our federally appropriated money for feral swine. To expand on that, and this was before my time, the agreements have been made with the soil districts for increased money so that we can increase our feral swine work. So currently, these are the numbers that we get from those two districts. 50,000 from the north and 25, these are approximate numbers. 25,000 from the south, and like I mentioned earlier, we now, last year, we got another 25,000 from the wildlife refuge. So all total, we got about $225,000. And that gets me about 2.25 people. And I know that sounds like $100,000 for a person sounds like a lot, but you gotta understand, that's everything. That's a truck, that's all their gas, that's all their supplies, that's their salary, that's their benefits. So it is a lot of money. We're not cheap dates, I get it, but that's basically what we get. I put down here at the bottom, a couple of the mayor's funding. They've been working closely with the mayors. I've talked to the mayor's council about providing some additional funding because we do a lot of work in the villages. You know, the work that we do with the north and the south districts, we prioritize that work. The farmers, ranchers, those that have more agricultural damage, but there's a lot of damage out there occurring in the village, just knock over trash cans, all that kind of stuff too. So, you know, I've approached the mayors, you know, there's a lot of damage that is just occurring in yards and towns and villages. And so, I've kind of got a verbal, agreement, it's at least in the budget for the mayors for another 60,000. So I'm hoping that 60,000 can push me, you know, from 2.25 up to 3, so that way I can sort of fund Jerome, full time. If I can have 3 guys going at this full speed, we can do a lot more work for sure. So that's where I'm at so far with our funding and with, the number of trappers and what we're looking at. I know there's other prospects out there, you know, Joe was talking about some other potential money from the legislature. But this is where we're at currently. Question. Okay. Am I allowed to take questions? All right, make it quick, because I don't want to get in trouble.
Camp Loss, how much are they giving you guys?
Camp Laws?
Yeah.
We don't get any money from Camp Laws anymore.
From the pigs that they sprayed out into the public, they should be paid for us, for you guys.
It's not gonna get an argument from me.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
You know,
There's a lot of other sources that we need to work on, and that's what I want to try to do.
yeah, just like the neighbor hospital, they use some money up there for Camp Loss to improve.
It's a problem that we all have on multiple fronts, and I do agree, and that's one of the things that I want to do is to widen the pot, bring more people to the table, and take money where we can get it from everybody, because it's a larger problem, and affects a lot of different people. So, yeah, I'm with you.
I could probably speak to the Camp Loss piece, maybe just a little bit of maybe what's maybe not known in the public. Well, you know, because the military, right, so they were mandated to be able to bring in, to be able to mitigate that, right? So they do have White Buffalo up there, and they have a number of traps that they're doing up there to be able to mitigate that volume going to the neighborhood.
But that's only a couple, branches that they went to. We need to do. Spread out more.
So I mean, we like. Sam Frederickson, you get Adrian Roselle, the one that kind of oversees that, he can give you quite a few numbers. Kind of like similar to what Chad has, because he's pretty accurate in terms of his data, so he's pretty much timed in the thousands too in terms of bids there, so that's just what they're mandated to do. Another mandate they had to do was train the locals, which funny, I'm standing next to Teddy, because in the Northern District, when he was a part of the Northern Soil, he trained him for the North, for us to train our directors, and they trained me for the South. And that was kind of the program that we have now for the South, where we have volunteers and we purchase the traps for them training to kind of help aid this, because we still partner with them, but you can see we've got our funding to them in half because we use that funding to be able to get started.
Which one are you?
So we're the Southern. Yeah, so.
I'll think of that.
Well, Sigland, yeah.
You see, no, after that.
Ah, okay, pues es la ley, pero semana de.
No, but I'm talking different, I already.
Okay.
I'm talking about.
So you have
Camp Loss.
Yes. So that's what's happening up there at Camp Loss.
All right, you guys are gonna give me trouble here.
Like you weren't sure as to have the answer when you needed, so at least it said it wasn't just nothing happened.
Like I said, I could talk for 2 hours. If you like. I'm just trying to, we just do this. That's, Patrick, you got something to say? All right, I'm wrapping it up, okay, here's some of the things that I put together since I've been here that I've been working on. We've been working on as a program, as I mentioned earlier, I've got these 3 dedicated people. And we do a lot of outreach ourselves. But we want to increase that, that was talked about here today too, increasing our outreach. Building better relationships with the village level. Like I said, we're meeting with those mayors regularly. My trappers are making an extra point to talk to all those folks regularly. And again, we need to secure stable long-term funding. When it's hard when we have grant funding, it's hard when we have funding 1 year, not the next year or 2 years and then off again, because we have to hire people, and so my goal is to search out and find longer term funding so that I can make sure that my guys are there, they're gonna be there, and I don't have to rely on top money all the time. So, again, making those connections, hopefully get some more funding from the mayors, from the legislature, where we gotta get it. Make sure we can get it and keep it. And then build capacity, increase our services through various funding sources. That's the goal. And then lastly, so I told you I've been doing this for 30 years, right? My wife just sent me this picture the other day. This is from a presentation I did about 27 years ago. So I was a lot better looking then. But that's still me. I've been doing this a long time, right? So I'm biased. I've been working for wildlife services my whole career. Why do you want to work with us? Again, we have a lot of things going for us. We're out there doing everything right. We're following all the laws. We're following all the local regulations. You can guarantee if we're out there doing it, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it professionally. We're gonna do it effectively. If we do screw up, which we don't, we are selfish. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. Trapping pigs is a lot different than just trapping a feral cat, okay? So there's a lot of reasons why people entrust in the work that we do. And this is the other thing that I'm building. We're gonna build that local trust with each and individual landowner, the mayors. And then not last but least, but I guess, we are held accountable. We are a government agency, so if we do screw up, we're not doing it right, we are accountable for action. And so sometimes if you're talking about private groups, private entities, you're not as accountable, may not be as professional. And lastly, I throw this in because I get criticized all the time about our price tag. Like I said, we're not a cheap date. It does cost money to hire us to do the work that we do. But we do a good job at it. And we do provide, those are good local jobs from these guys that we provide. They have a good job, they get benefits, it's a good job. So we provide local employment for our guys that do our work. Those are the reasons why I'm here. That's all I do.
I have one. What is the goal? Your goal? What is the final goal?
So it's a good question. People talk about eradication. Is it possible? Is it not possible? I think eradication of pigs on Guam would be possible. I thought about this a lot. You'd have to give me about $1 million and you'd have to give it $1 million for 10 years. And then I don't know if we could quite do it, but I think we could come pretty close. Now, is that really feasible? Probably not. I think what I would define success as, and that's why I want to continue to ramp this program up, is when we start looking at our catch per unit effort. So every year we're looking at our take, and we're putting the same amount of hours in there, and then our take peaks, and then our take starts going down. Then we know we're really starting to impact the population. Right now, we're not doing that. No one's killing enough pigs on Guam to make any kind of a dent. And I don't know how many that's gonna take. In longer presentations, I can tell you some of our take and some of the surrounding take. But I think ideally the goal would be to get the pig numbers down to a tolerable level. And we don't know quite what that is. I don't know. A lot of people like to hunt pigs. They're still a resource here. But we need to have them down significantly low. And I think we can accomplish that if we just keep plugging away at this. We keep grinding away at additional funding. We keep we keep recruiting everybody that we can. There's several pieces of pie. There are private entities. We can also train farmers to do some of this work themselves. There's a lot of things that we can do. My biggest thing is we gotta do it together. We gotta all be working together and on the same sheet. We can't be competing against each other because pigs are smart. And if somebody's screwing up over here and they're not doing the job correctly, there's 20 pigs over there and that person screws it up and they kill 3 or 4. Well, the other 17 are now much smarter. So now my guy might have to come over here on the next adjoining property and it's gonna take him twice as long to catch those pigs. So again, that's something that we have to work together on. We have to be able to work together because otherwise if we don't, it's gonna make it harder for all of us. Is that a good answer? Yes.
We'll take one more question.
About how many pigs are there? Oh. Oh, how many?
That one, I really don't know. I wouldn't even throw out.
That too is for too many.
We take around 1,000 a year and then there's other entities that are, I would say, I don't know. All told, there's probably only a few thousand pigs a year being killed. And the numbers don't change, they keep going up. Yeah, the numbers are going up, so I would say the only way I would answer that question is that we probably gotta kill 5 or more thousand pigs a year to start seeing maybe.
How many, what estimate of the total right now?
Yeah, I know, I don't know. That's just not the way my mind is gonna work. I just need to figure out how many I gotta take to kill to start making progress. I don't know. I really don't know. We haven't tried to do any kind of estimate on that yet. I'll get kicked off, up and around.
And this is very important. As you guys said, outreach, education outreach is very important. So what I would say is, even if the soil and water districts and wildlife services take out so many pigs that you start to see the decline of the numbers in the pack. The part that you have to be aware of and you have to make other people understand is this. When the numbers start going down, people have a tendency to take the resources and move it somewhere else because the numbers are going down. It is when you are at the near end, when you have to go at it 110% and keep your foot on the pedal to get those last 2 pigs. Is that clear? You have to understand that, and more importantly, you have to be able to articulate that to other people. This is not just for pigs. This is for little fire rat, rhino beetle, deer. The same thing. Once we go at this, you have to keep going and go hard until you're done.
Thank you. Now to our chairmen to do the closing remarks. I invite Chairman Mike and Chairman Joe to the front to close out our local working group.
Where's Jack? I totally you'll spend there, and I really believe that bringing the numbers down where they're not literally walking down the village street acting like they're a gangster. And they got ownership of the road to the villages and everything, stuff like that, or attacking our citizens, then at least we show we're doing a good job, so yeah. I'm with you. But so I want to thank all our staff, the northern and southern staff for putting this all together. They did a great job. Mentioned one who was inadvertently this earlier, obviously has a low profile, so we can't do what wasn't part of this, but John Bossa here was he's the tech support guy all day long. He does both with the NRCS, he does a lot of work there with him, so, yeah, we will see. And anyways, thank you all for coming, we really appreciate all the input today. All the information that we gathered, all the discussion will be consolidated, I guess, and put together by the team. And then I guess eventually it'll come out back out to you guys, just like the last time, so you'll be looking forward to that. And then, of course, scheduling another meeting down the road again, so keep things going. So that's it, thank you very much, I do believe we have a kind of like a happy hour thing going on here, so stick around. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to hear what Michael mentioned. Again, thank you for coming. We'll provide you with the information. Hopefully you're registered in our, the database that we have here, or the information. So we can get back to you immediately and, with the results of that. Please rise and, we'll bless the table and then we can eat. With some taste stuff for you guys. It's, finger food, and please join us. We have a tab over here for drinks other than water and tea. So you can help yourself there. So, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we're about to receive from thy bounty, Christ our Lord, amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Please, enjoy yourself. Thank you. Thank you. I think how much
I'm like, how can you let this happen over there? It's killing me.
I figured that was. Spend so much time on nothing, waste of everyone's time. All right, I'm gonna go change my shirt, because there's gonna be some drinks.
I'm going to public. No group picture?
Very good.
So he knows that.
Yeah, usually it's quite nice.
But yeah. Okay. Are you using one? Okay. I mean, are you part or?
Okay, first floor lobby again.